Welcome to the deep dive. We've got some really great material you shared, all focused on, well, overcoming those anxieties around professional networking, especially when English isn't your first language.
Yeah, it's a topic that comes up a lot.
It really does. So, our mission today is pretty straightforward. Distill the best insights from these notes, basically give you a shortcut to feeling more confident out there, regardless of your native tongue.
Exactly. The sources dig into some very common fears, but also offer really practical strategies. So, yeah, hopefully this will be an empowering deep dive.
Okay, let's jump right in then. The material makes it clear that if you're a non-native English speaker and you feel that knot of anxiety before a networking event, you're definitely not alone.
Not at all. It seems there are some really consistent fears that pop up again and again.
The sources actually identify 7 key ones. Maybe we should walk through them.
Good idea. Just naming them can be helpful.
Yeah.
Recognizing the feeling.
Okay, so first up is the fear of making mistakes. This is that classic worry, isn't it? About grammar, pronunciation.
Uh-huh. Word choice?
Right, that little voice asking, what if I say something wrong and sound unprofessional?
Totally understandable. Language feels so tied to competence, which leads into the second one. Fear of not being understood.
Ah, yes. The worry about your accent, maybe, or phrasing things in a way that confuses people.
Exactly. That internal question, what if they just don't get what I'm saying? It can really stop you from even starting.
Yeah, I can see that. And related, I guess, is number 3, fear of judgment.
This is worrying that people will think less of you because of your English skills.
The whole, will they think I'm less competent if my English isn't perfect? Vicious cycle, really.
It is. And then there's that horrible feeling, the fear of freezing during conversation.
Oh gosh, yes, mind going blank.
Right. But for non-native speakers, it's often amplified, like, what if I can't find the word and everything just
That
stops?
silence feels so loud then.
Yeah. Then number 5 is interesting. Fear of speaking too slowly or quickly.
Right, worrying about sounding unnatural, maybe, out of sync.
Exactly, that internal check. Am I talking too fast, too slow? Trying to find that comfortable rhythm in the conversation.
It's subtle, but definitely adds to the pressure.
For sure. Okay, number 6, fear of cultural misunderstandings.
This is a big one, I imagine, worrying about saying or even doing something with gestures.
That's perfectly fine in your culture, but maybe not in an English-speaking context.
Yeah. The what if I say something culturally inappropriate question, it's navigating more than just words.
Absolutely. It's the whole social interaction.
Yeah.
And finally, number 7, fear of being left out of the conversation.
That feeling of isolation when maybe the chat is moving too fast.
Precisely. You can't quite keep up because of the language barrier, and you start to feel invisible. That question, what if I can't keep up and just get sidelined?
Yeah. That's really disheartening.
So those are the 7 big ones identified in the source material. And the key point they stress is these fears are common. They're normal.
Okay, so just knowing that helps. You're not alone in feeling this.
Exactly. It takes away some of their power.
Right. So we've laid out the fears. Now, the good part, the solutions. The material is packed with practical stuff, starting with a really fundamental mindset shift.
Yes, this is crucial. The sources really emphasize moving your focus away from speaking perfect English towards simply making a connection. Networking is about building relationships, right? Sharing ideas, finding common ground.
That makes sense. It's easy to get hung up on grammar, but the real goal is that human connection.
Precisely. And, the sources point out that most people, they actually appreciate the effort. They're usually patient.
So the reframe is,
Switch from thinking, I must speak perfectly, to I want to connect and learn from this conversation.
I like that. Less pressure on performance, more on presence.
Exactly. It changes the whole dynamic.
Okay, so we adopt this connection mindset. What practical things can we actually do? The sources get into strategies for clarity and pacing.
Right. This is where the rubber meets the road. For clarity, the big advice is use simple, direct language.
Don't try to impress with fancy words.
Not necessary.
Yeah.
In fact, straightforward communication is often way more effective. The source had that great example.
Oh, yeah, the contrast between, my role involves the orchestration of cross-functional team collaboration.
With multifaceted stakeholders. Very corporate speak.
Versus just saying, I manage projects by helping teams and clients work together.
So much clearer, right?
Yeah.
And easier for everyone. The source also suggests using shorter sentences.
Easier to form, easier to follow.
Yep. Less cognitive load all around.
Makes sense. And what about pacing? The advice is actually to slow down.
It is. It might
Oh,
feel counterintuitive if you're nervous, you want to rush,
yeah.
but slowing down a bit helps you articulate more clearly,
Yeah.
and it gives you, crucially, a little more thinking time.
Ah, okay. More breathing room.
Exactly. And pausing. The source highlights pausing between ideas. It can actually make you sound more confident.
Less rushing, less filler words like and I.
Potentially, yes. It gives your listener time to process, too. They even had that little practice exercise.
Oh, right. My name is Julia. Pause. I work in digital marketing. Pause.
Yeah. I help companies grow their online presence. Seems basic, but practicing that rhythm,
Could actually build that feeling of comfortable pacing.
it really could. Develops that muscle memory.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up, preparation and honesty. Two more really useful tools.
Preparation makes sense. Seems key for most professional things. The source suggests prepping key phrases.
Yeah, like memorizing a few go-to lines for introductions, for asking questions, even for ending a chat.
Takes the pressure off thinking on the spot for those bits.
Absolutely. Having reliable language to fall back on. The source gave examples like, "Hi, I'm Name. I'm excited to be here."
Simple, effective.
Or, for clarifying, "Could you please repeat that?" Or ending, "It's been great talking to you. Let's stay in touch."
Yeah, having those ready feels like a safety net.
Totally. And then there's the honesty piece.
Yeah.
Being open about language challenges if you need to.
That feels a bit vulnerable, maybe.
It can, but the source suggests it actually builds connection. Authenticity, right?
So just saying something like,
Like, English isn't my first language, so I might need a moment to find the right word. Most people are understanding.
okay, I can see how that could actually break the ice a bit. Takes courage, though.
It does, but it fosters a more open exchange.
All right. Now let's talk mistakes. We all make them. What's the advice here?
Big one. Mistakes are normal. Even native speakers mess up. Don't let the fear stop you from talking.
So if you stumble over a word,
Just smile, keep going.
eh,
Often small errors aren't even noticed.
and if it's a bit more obvious,
Calmly correct yourself if you can. Like the example, "Oh, I meant to say project manager, not product manager."
show self-awareness, not panic.
Exactly. It's about recovery. And tied to this is another strategy, active listening.
Right. Focusing on the other person, not just worrying about what you're going to say next.
Yes. When you're really tuned in, you're naturally less focused on your own anxieties. Plus, you understand better, respond better.
Makes sense. It shifts the focus outward.
And if you don't understand something while listening, the source gives polite ways to ask.
Like,
Could you explain that in another way? Or do you mind repeating that? Useful phrases to have ready.
definitely better than just nodding along confused. Okay, what else? The source mentions building confidence, nonverbal cues, and celebrating progress.
Yeah, building confidence is about practice, consistent practice. The suggestion is low-pressure environments first.
Like language exchange groups or maybe virtual meetups.
Exactly. Places where the stakes feel lower so you can get comfortable. They also mention recording yourself.
Ah, like practicing an intro and listening back? Might feel weird.
A little, maybe.
Yeah.
But it gives you great feedback on your pacing, clarity, things like that. Self-assessment.
Okay. And nonverbal communication.
Hugely important.
Yeah.
Smiling, eye contact, nodding, they convey engagement and approachability, bridging potential language gaps.
You can say a lot without words.
Absolutely. And finally, a really key point. Acknowledge and celebrate your progress, not perfection.
Right. Focus on what went well, not just the slip-ups.
Yes. After an interaction, think, "Okay, I managed to ask a question," or "I understood most of that." Build on the successes.
The source suggested keeping a networking journal.
Yeah, track positive interactions, new phrases you learned. It makes your progress tangible, builds momentum.
I like that. Creates a positive feedback loop. Okay, so we started with the mindset shift, away from perfection. The source loops back to this at the end, right? Focusing on strengths.
Yes, this is a really powerful reframe. Instead of seeing non-native speaker as a deficit, view it as a source of unique advantages.
How so?
Well, your accent, for instance. It shows diversity. It shows you're multilingual. That's a huge asset today.
That's a great way to look at it. Own it.
Exactly. And your different cultural background. It likely gives you unique insights, different perspectives.
Things native speakers might just not see.
Precisely. That can be incredibly valuable in discussions. The source ends this part reminding us, confidence often matters more than perfect grammar.
People remember the connection, how you made them feel.
Not whether every single verb tense was right. It's about the overall interaction.
That's such a good point. Okay, so let's quickly recap this deep dive. We've acknowledged those common fears, making mistakes, not being understood, judgment, freezing, pacing issues, cultural missteps, feeling left out.
Uh-huh. Lots of them, but very relatable.
Then the crucial mindset shift, focus on connection, not perfection. People appreciate the effort.
Absolutely cute.
And then a whole toolkit of practical strategies. Clarity, simple language, shorter sentences, slower pacing, pausing.
Preparation with key phrases. Honesty when needed.
Embracing mistakes as normal, active listening.
Building confidence through practice. Using positive nonverbals.
And celebrating your progress using something like that networking journal.
And finally, reframing to focus on your strengths, the value of your diverse perspective and multilingualism.
Right. The overall message feels really empowering. These fears are real but manageable. You can overcome them.
Definitely. It's about having the right approach and recognizing the value you already bring.
Which leads perfectly into our final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. Building on that idea of unique value, seriously, consider how your multilingual background and your specific cultural experiences might offer perspectives that genuinely enrich professional discussions. What unique viewpoints could you bring to the table that others might overlook? Think about that next time you're networking.
Great thought to end on.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.